Whew, it's getting hot. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Slow Steading. Today we are making biochar. And we're gonna do that by burning it in this here. This is a biochar kiln. This was custom designed and built by someone locally. I'm just borrowing it for the day, but it's pretty sweet. To make biochar, you need to burn material like branches and wood in an oxygen-deprived environment. And the kiln handles that by keeping all the heat in, building a bed of coals at the bottom, and you continue to pile material on top, which smothers the material below to prevent it from burning itself completely. And then once this is all full of hot coals, we're gonna flood it with water and we'll end up with a big batch of biochar. Now before we get started, we just want to make sure we have a few things handy. Of course, we've got our work gloves here that'll help us out. Type of rake so we can move the material around. I've got a hose handy with water, super important if you're going to be having a huge burn like this one's going to be. I also have a Sawzall to help me cut down some of the larger branches into smaller pieces. I've got some fire starter to help me get started. And lastly, I've checked the local burning restrictions to make sure that I am allowed to burn today. It is mid-June, which is kind of late in the season to be able to be burning here on the west coast, but it's been a wet spring, so burning is totally open, which is good for us. Now another tip I want to mention before we get started, you'll see I've got this nice big pile of debris behind me here. It's a lot easier to move the kiln to your pile, to your material, instead of moving material to your kiln. So if you have a friend, ask them to help you get set up so you're not going to have to be trucking wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow of material across your property. Instead of having a burn pile and sending all that carbon back up into the atmosphere, we're going to use this biochar kiln and create a useful product just to help close the loop here on the property. So let's go ahead and let's build a fire and let's start burning. As you can see, the kiln's getting pretty full now. Once it's about level with the top, we're gonna shut it off. We're gonna flood it with water to put all this out. If we left it to keep burning, it would all burn down to ash, and that's not what we want. We want it burnt just enough to carbonize into that biochar. Let's get the hose connected and check this out. Okay, let's quench this fire. Once you've gathered all the finished biochar, there's a few things you can do with it. You can go ahead and add it straight to the compost pile. This means it'll start getting inoculated with all sorts of microorganisms and fungi, and it'll be ready to roll when your compost is ready to add to your garden. You can also add some directly to your garden bed. Be mindful that the fresh biochar may leach a bit of nitrogen right when you add it, so be sure to add a helping of compost at the same time. And if you're going to be building new garden beds, go ahead and add a few handfuls of biochar right in there in the process. So the next time you have a pile of brush to burn, think about creating some biochar. You can use something like this, a biochar kiln. You can use an incinerator barrel, or there are all sorts of other DIY solutions out there on YouTube. Check them out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out some of our other videos about slow living, homesteading, and other fun projects around the property.